Hey guys, Crypto Sunday, and it's a rather green week. I'm sure everyone is doing reasonably well. I'm up about 18, 19% nearly. It's about £65,000. So, yeah, probably one of the biggest weeks ever. And it's pretty much across the board for the week in terms of gains. Some bigger than others, of course, but yeah, let's have a look at the news. So, just looking at the CoinShares report, this doesn't include a reasonable amount of inflow this week. This is from last Monday, but yeah, inflows totaling 598 million for previous week, basically. And yeah, it's sort of a large amount out from Grayscale, as always, 430 million, but iShares and Fidelity reasonable amount of inflows, sort of an average of the Grayscale outflows really between the two, and sort of reasonable amount into ARC as well. Looking at per coin, obviously it's nearly all Bitcoin. Ethereum getting 16.8 million, not too bad. Multi-asset still sort of getting I would say a steady flow. It sort of often seems to be in the sort of mid single digits. So not really sure where these funds or the one fund, if it is, are located. But yeah, it's a fairly steady inflow. A 3 million outflow for Solana, only one of the big coins, but fair enough. 797 million in assets under management, so it's not a huge amount. Small inflow into Litecoin, a little bit more short Bitcoin, of course. That comes with a large increase in Bitcoin, and small inflow into Cardano and XRP, and some others. Just sort of looking by country, it's still mostly outflows from the others. 17.8 million in Canada. Didn't actually realise Brazil, were particularly big, but they've got 588 million, and they had a little bit of inflow. Australia as well, very small. So yeah, Brazil are 15, nearly 15 times the size of Australia in terms of assets under management. So fair enough. And yeah, small moves from sort of everyone else, really. But looking at the more recent news, so 26th of February onwards, we saw sort of fairly low Grayscale outflow to start the week, but that then sort of ramped up, and on the last 2 days of the week, you saw nearly 600 million and then 490 million outflow, and sort of the inflows on the others sort of reasonably good from Fidelity, sort of steady but low towards the end of the week, and then very large from BlackRock, but sort of dipped on the Friday. So you did actually see a 140 million net outflow on the Friday. So first time since this sort of one day on the 21st. But overall, you have to say it's sort of continued demand. You sort of had 3 days this week above 500 million net inflow, so that's very nice. And sort of total inflow is 7.3 billion, even netting out Grayscale. So that's the one to look at, really. And it's not just the ETFs, of course. You still have Michael Saylor when MicroStrategy sort of acquiring what they can. I'm guessing they're with the premium largely gone from MicroStrategy. Can't imagine they're going to be sort of issuing loads and loads of shares. They were sort of, before issuing shares based on their premium and using it to buy Bitcoin, and the sort of shareholders Bitcoin per share was going up because they had a premium, and now they haven't. It's sort of 1-to-1 basically, and if they issue shares and buy Bitcoin, every shareholder has about the same amount, and you just grow the market cap. But it's not quite as lucrative as it was before. But they've added 3,000 Bitcoin, so it takes them up to 193,000. That's sort of 1% of current supply, so very nice. And their average price is 31,544. So Obviously, people that were criticising them down at the lows, talking about their capitulation, sort of liquidation price of in the 4,000s, then obviously we never quite got there. It's a risk, him sort of saying that it's the only thing you should be putting your money in, and when he used to be saying mortgage your house and everything, that was irresponsible, but there is some middle ground. So yeah, good on them. And another 3,000 acquired. Good bit of buy pressure. Saw this report as well from Matt Hoogan from Bitwise Asset Management. Obviously, they're one of the ETF providers, so somewhat potentially talking his own book. I think he's more sort of on the Bitcoin side. He's not sort of the boss of Bitwise, but yeah, they've all been sort of talking quite positively about Bitcoin and the ETFs. But he has noticed that there's potentially a great deal more inflows to come because the wirehouses haven't actually approved the ETFs yet. So wirehouses are referred to large brokerage firms that offer financial services, including investment advice, portfolio management, and trading. So these include Morgan Stanley, UBS, Merrill Lynch, and Wells Fargo. I think it looks like Wells Fargo and Merrill Lynch are getting a lot closer. But yeah, these sort of firms haven't actually approved, so people who have their money with them are unable to buy, whether they want to or not. So yeah, you've still got potentially, even though the ETFs have all been approved, people that can't buy it. But there's potential that with them going up and Bitcoin going up, that they'll be sort of forced to turn them on. I presume people are sort of hounding them to approve them. I thought this was really interesting as well, the share of weekend trading volume. So sort of 2018 to 2021, you had sort of an average of 22 to 24% of total trade volume of the week being at the weekend. So obviously 2 days of the week on a calendar basis being 28%. And yeah, it was slightly less. Yeah, maybe get a little bit more institutions trading during the week and maybe even a bit more retail trading during the week. That come down to 17 to 18% in sort of the last couple of years. But 2024 so far has been 13%. So majority of 2024, obviously we've had the ETFs trading now. And yeah, it's a huge amount of the volume. So it's becoming a big boys sort of Wall Street traditional finance asset more and more. So a lot of people see that as a negative, but I think you've got to accept that it was always needed if we wanted to get to these sort of prices. We're never going to have just retail getting us to 100,000, 150,000, sort of as lots of people. Tom Lee at Fundstrat, calling for 150,000 this year. That isn't going to come from Joe Bloggs buying sort of $100 worth of Bitcoin, basically. You need Wall Street. Just to note as well, we always do need to prepare for a correction. We've got an enormous amount of options open interest at the moment, sort of all clustering around, as they're saying, 60,000, 65, and 70,000. So, yeah, it's potential for sort of either a big drop or a big rise at some point. Sort of any slight move one way or the other will cause people to either capitulate on their options or buy, and you get the people taking the other side have to hedge. So as the price rises, if somebody's sort of hedging these options, they will do so by buying the spot, and yeah, if price sort of goes up a little bit, they have to buy a little bit more spot, and goes up a little bit more, and then buying causes the price to go up, and you just get this sort of reflexive spiral either upwards or downwards. Price drops and they'll be selling the spot. So yeah, open interest just basically means prepare for higher volatility. So you've got Deribit, total options open interest at 27 billion. and there's 12 billion of 24-hour trading volume. So yeah, a lot of people have been saying derivatives and leverage was sort of on the low side so far in this move up, and the buying was just done spot 1-to-1, sort of largely the ETFs, but you are getting an awful lot of derivative and options activity. So I would say prepare for potentially a large move. They're saying the max pain price, as they call it, that would sort of liquidate most people, would be a crash to $46,000. So yeah, by March the 29th. So that would be quite a crash, but nothing sort of out of the ordinary, I would say. 46,000 divided by current price, 61,000. Yeah, 25% fall, and sort of 2017 we were quite used to seeing 30 to 35% falls. I think we had sort of 5 in a year and a half. So basically, prepare for it. I wouldn't sort of trade based on any of this. I wouldn't be selling to wait for $46,000, but yeah, be prepared for it and not be surprised if it happens. There's an interesting article about the Denkun upgrade for Ethereum going potentially live on March the 13th. It's looking like that is not going to be delayed. But yeah, this chap sort of saying it's a temporary solution. So it's going to sort of reduce fees and scale Ethereum on the layer one a little bit better. And they've sort of got the full sharding upgrade much later on, but he's basically saying this will, it will provide a help, but really for Ethereum to sort of scale to what the bulls believe it can do, it needs multi-chain solutions. So roll-ups and layer twos, your sort of arbitrums and optimisms and that sort of thing, to sort of really scale. This is the sort of constant argument between Solana and Ethereum bulls, the sort of monolithic versus modular um, approach, basically. So you can sort of have a cheap layer 2, which then sort of processes loads and loads of transactions and then uploads one to Ethereum. So that could be sort of, I guess, essentially infinitely scalable. You could have loads and loads and loads of transactions on the one chain and then uploads everything to Ethereum. You could say that layer 2 potentially is less secure, but they're sort of saying that the security of Ethereum is passed down to the layer 2s. But yeah, potentially sort of Solana just having everything all on the one chain, with sort of redundancy of having two different clients with Firedancer, so that it doesn't go down. That's the theory anyway. Could be a potentially better solution. I think there's room for both of them, and yeah, the crypto sort of total ecosystem will, various sort of applications and use cases will use whatever is more suitable for them. And I'm sure it obviously won't be just Ethereum and Solana, or Ethereum plus the layer 2s and Solana, but yeah, it's sort of all sorts of stuff, finance, gaming, supply chain stuff, all manner of things that can be sort of built on it, ticketing and, compressed NFTs with Solana. So, yeah, I think there's plenty of room for both, but there's an interesting sort of take that even the Denkun upgrade is not going to solve everything, even if it does reduce fees a large amount and sort of a fair amount of scalability. But of course, while they're not scaling fees, you do have a large amount of burning. So last 7 days, you've had over 20,000 Ethereum burnt. It's down to 131,000 now. Sort of 37,000 to nearly 38,000 burnt versus only 17,000 issued. So yeah, maybe with upgrades and sharding and that sort of thing, this amount will come down. I guess the burnt amount in dollars may increase, but the total amount of Ethereum could decrease. But while it's here, it's providing sort of positive price action, I would say. It's sort of deflationary versus Bitcoin's disinflationary. So you've seen this sort of continuous downwards and then a little plateau and then downwards again. And sort of since the merge, it's even more sort of wavy. But yeah, it's certainly on a downtrend again, and see that as good news. So looking at coins for the week, it is, as I say, a green wall across the board. 20% up on Bitcoin, 25% up on Solana, although that sort of tailed off towards the end of the week. Ethereum underperforming Bitcoin at 13%. Chainlink 10.7%, not quite so good. Cardano doing quite well for 24%. XRP 13.7. Audius is 26%. That's doing pretty well. Polygon 10.8%. Power Ledger 7.4. Still can't get any sort of can't get any backbone after the sort of big run a couple of months ago. Gala 47% for the week. Very nice from Gala. That's the biggest performer. Quant 21.6. Internet Computer 6.8%. Not quite so good. Basic Attention Token 23 and VeChain 9.5%. So everything up, sort of some in the single figures, but some outperformers for sure. Probably, still would have been far better off just having everything in Bitcoin, but potentially we've got alt season, I guess, coming up after the halving and into sort of later in 2024. So we'll have to see whether this strategy comes good. But yeah, let me know what you guys are up to, and like and subscribe. See you soon.